Gilles de Rais, history's first serial killer? From battlefield hero to child murderer, the chilling legacy of a medieval nobleman. Introduction: the dark mirror of history. What if the greatest monsters in history were not the ones we imagine lurking in the shadows, but the celebrated heroes we praise in daylight? The tale of Gilles de Rais is one that forces us to confront this unsettling possibility. Picture a valiant knight, a decorated war hero and a trusted companion of Joan of Arc, suddenly revealed as the architect of crimes so appalling they would haunt the imagination of Europe for centuries. Is it possible, then, that history's first serial killer wore the armor of a marshal of France? The life and crimes of Gilles de Rais combine glory and horror, faith and depravity, legend and reality. His story is a labyrinth of contradictions and unanswered questions, drawing us into the dark heart of medieval France, where history, myth, and terror blend into one. Noble beginnings: the rise of a medieval prodigy. Gilles de Rais was born in 1404 into one of Brittany's wealthiest noble families. His lineage promised power and privilege, but tragedy struck early. Both parents died when Gilles was around 11. His father a gruesome death in a hunting accident, which Gilles may have witnessed, and his mother's mysterious passing left him and his younger brother in the care of their grandfather, Jean de Craon. De Craon was a schemer and power broker, and he shaped young Gilles into an ambitious if reckless young man. Gilles was well educated, trained in the arts of war and statesmanship, and destined for greatness. He inherited vast estates, castles, and the kind of wealth that would allow him to pursue any desire, noble or nefarious. On the battlefield, hero of the 100 Years' War, if history had taken a different turn, Gilles de Rais might have been remembered only as a hero. By his late teens, he was already gaining renown for his courage and tactical skill in the 100 Years' War, a brutal conflict between France and England that would reshape the continent. But it was in 1429, at the side of Joan of Arc, that Gilles achieved legendary status. He fought at her side during the siege of Orléans, a pivotal victory for the French, and was soon appointed as a Marshal of France, the highest military honor. Together, he and Joan became symbols of French resistance, hope, and divine favor. Yet, as Joan's star burned bright and then was extinguished by execution in 1431, Gilles' path began to spiral into darkness. The loss of his comrade in arms marked the beginning of his withdrawal from the battlefield and his descent into infamy. The fall, extravagance, obsession, and the seeds of horror. With the war winding down, Gilles returned to his estates, which were among the richest in western France. His life became a whirlwind of excess and dissipation. He squandered his fortune on lavish banquets, extravagant performances, and a private army to rival the king's. He commissioned music, literature, and religious relics, seeking to immortalize his own name. But beneath the surface, Gilles' restlessness grew. He quarreled bitterly with family members over money, selling off family lands to finance his lifestyle. His once mighty fortune began to dwindle. Was it desperation, boredom, or something darker that led him down the path of murder? The chapel of the Holy Innocents. Faith, twisted to evil. In a bizarre twist, Gilles' spiritual anxieties grew alongside his depravity. In 1433, he built the Chapel of the Holy Innocents, a lavish private church intended to secure his salvation. But the name would become tragically ironic, for the choir was filled with boys selected by de Rais himself, and many would become his victims. As his desperation mounted, Gilles turned to the occult, employing alchemists and sorcerers in the hope of restoring his lost fortunes. He sought forbidden knowledge, making pacts in exchange for gold, and dabbling in rituals that further isolated him from Christian society. Gilles' world grew ever stranger, and ever more dangerous for those around him. The murders, a reign of terror. Rumors began to swirl in the villages around de Rais' castles. Children, mostly boys, were vanishing. Some were thought to have entered service with the nobility, a common route out of poverty that often meant permanent separation from their families. But soon, whispers grew. Servants seen disposing of bodies, parents weeping for children who never returned, and tales of unspeakable horrors behind castle walls. It was only during his trial that the full scope of his crimes was revealed. Under threat of torture, de Rais confessed to abducting, torturing, and murdering more than 100 children over nearly a decade. He described ritualistic killings, acts of sexual violence, mutilation, and the perverse enjoyment he took in their suffering. The details were so shocking that even hardened inquisitors recoiled. Witnesses spoke of dungeons, hidden rooms, and servants complicit in the abductions and cover-ups. According to the trial records, one castle's well was found to be stuffed with the remains of dozens of children. Fear, silence, and power. Why was he not stopped? One question haunts every account of Gilles de Rais. How was it possible for such a prominent man to commit so many crimes for so long, seemingly with impunity? The answer lies in the social structure of medieval France. Nobles wielded almost absolute power over their lands, and commoners lived in fear of retribution. The disappearance of a child could be explained away: runaways, disease, or service in a distant castle. Even when suspicions arose, few dared to accuse a marshal of France. In some areas, Gilles' crimes became an open secret, but the parents of victims were often powerless to seek justice. Only when de Rais overstepped by kidnapping a priest in 1440 did the authorities move against him, ironically, for a crime unrelated to the murders. The arrest and trial. Justice at last? In September 1440, Gilles de Rais was arrested and put on trial, both in secular and ecclesiastical courts. He was charged with murder, heresy, sodomy, and involvement in the occult. The proceedings were a spectacle, drawing crowds from across the region. The evidence was overwhelming: bodies, witness testimony, and even the confessions of his closest servants. De Rais himself, under the threat of torture, confessed in lurid detail to his crimes. He claimed to have killed more than 100 children, describing acts of ritual torture and murder. On October 26, 1440, he was executed by simultaneous burning and hanging in Nantes, a sentence befitting the horror of his deeds. Aftermath: repentance, ironies, and a disturbing legacy. In a strange twist, Gilles de Rais faced death with remarkable composure, expressing repentance and seeking forgiveness. The Church, ever concerned with the spectacle of sin and redemption, held up his last days as a model of penitence. A 3-day fast was observed in his memory, a bizarre tribute to a confessed child murderer. Even more disturbing was the tradition that developed in and around Nantes. Parents commemorated the anniversary of de Rais' execution by whipping their children, a macabre reminder of the consequences of sin. This practice persisted for more than a century, blending folklore, memory, and trauma. Revisionist theories. Was Gilles de Rais framed? In modern times, some have questioned the historical record. Was Gilles de Rais truly guilty, or was he the victim of a politically motivated trial? His confession, after all, was extracted under the threat of torture, a common and unreliable method in the Middle Ages. Others point to the wealth and lands he lost to the powerful Duke of Brittany as a possible motive for false charges. Yet most historians, after examining the overwhelming evidence presented at the trial, conclude that Gilles de Rais was indeed the perpetrator of these heinous crimes. The consistency of testimony, the discovery of bodies, and the confessions of accomplices lend grim credence to the charges. History's first serial killer? The birth of a dark archetype. Gilles de Rais is often described as history's first serial killer, a title that captures both the scale and the sheer horror of his crimes. Long before the term serial killer was coined, de Rais' story encapsulated the pattern of repeated, ritualistic murder that would later define some of the world's most infamous criminals. But de Rais' case is unique not just for its brutality, but for its context. He was a man of faith and violence, a war hero and a monster, a product of his times and a warning for all time. His crimes force us to grapple with the uncomfortable truth that evil can wear the face of virtue, that power can shield the worst abuses, and that history itself is full of shadows. The enduring fascination, why we still tell Gilles de Rais' story. Why does the tale of Gilles de Rais continue to haunt us nearly 6 centuries later? Part of the answer lies in the collision of light and darkness, the transformation of a celebrated knight into a figure of terror. His story is a cautionary tale about unchecked power, the vulnerability of the innocent, and the ways in which society can be blind to evil in its midst. Gilles de Rais's life and crimes have inspired countless works of art, literature, and even psychoanalytic studies. He is the model for the character of Bluebeard in Charles Perrault's fairy tales, a nobleman whose wives vanish one after another, their fates revealed only when a forbidden door is opened. The story endures because it speaks to our deepest fears, that beneath the surface of order and civilization, chaos and cruelty may lurk. Conclusion: shadows in the halls of power. The case of Gilles de Rais remains one of history, its most chilling enigmas, a story where the boundaries between fact and legend blur, and where the hero and the villain are one and the same. Whether he was truly history's first serial killer or the victim of a monstrous miscarriage of justice, his legacy is a dark mirror held up to the face of power, privilege, and humanity itself. In our fascination with figures like Gilles de Rais, we find both a warning and a challenge: to look beyond the surface, to question the stories we are told, and to remember that the greatest dangers sometimes come from those who are most celebrated. As long as we tell his story, we keep alive the hope that we will recognize and resist the darkness, no matter what mask it wears.